on December 11th, 2024. And I confirm that we do have a quorum. Is that correct, Mr. Yates?
Correct.
And I'll call the meeting to order, and I will acknowledge that we are located on the traditional territory of the Liquiteau people. And I'd like to have a motion for the adoption of the public agenda.
Move adoption.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Grenland. Second, Commissioner Kerr. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none. I don't think we have any petitions and delegations. Could I get a motion on the adoption of the previous minutes? Thank you, Commissioner Kerr.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Grenland. Any discussion? All in favor? I can't see Sean, but I'm assuming so. Any opposed? That's carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. We don't have any motions. We don't have any public consideration. Chair does not have a report. Now we're up to item K, number 1, Camp Over Storm Safety Netting Request. And can we get a motion that the report of the Chief Administration Officer be received?
Move received.
Thank you, Commissioner Grenland.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. Could we get a brief verbal report from staff, please?
Thank you. Through the CAO to the chair and the commissioners. Back in May of 2024, the Campbell River storm sent a letter to the commission to raise awareness of a netting impact for filming and intermission events such as the duck and puck toss. And the commission requested a further report regarding the matter about the safety modification of the safety netting to allow it to be raised during the storm games. In the August commission meeting, staff presented the commission with information and options regarding quotes to modify the netting. The commission recommended a further report with options and costs to be explored that would support the safety netting of the spectators and reduce the barriers caused by the current safety netting. Staff reached out to the CR Storm, and the CR Storm offered $620 towards the net modification, but no other options were presented at that time. Staff also reached out to facilities in the Pacific and Vancouver Island Junior Hockey Leagues and have the following survey to share with you. Could we put that up on the board, Edith? Would that be possible? So the questionnaire gathered responses of the following questions. Does your arena have safety netting installed along the stands to protect patrons and staff from flying pucks? How tall is the glass along the stands / spectator viewing area in your arena? Is the safety netting ever removed during hockey games to accommodate filming or any other events? We collected information from 12 facilities. And then as far as the first question, does your arena have safety netting installed along the stands to protect patrons and staff from flying pucks? We had, well, this is the survey just up on the screen here if you want to check that out. But we had quite a few respond with yes. And then for the no, there was 4 responses to no. And then as far as the glass goes, how high is the glass? We have several arenas that have 6-foot glass. And then we have 3 that have 5-foot glass, including our own arena has 5-foot glass. And then as far as accommodating, lifting the net during hockey games to accommodate filming or other events, all the arenas with netting do not raise or remove the netting for those games.
Excellent. Is there any questions from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Grenland.
Thank you. I would also note that 2 of the...
Your mic, I don't think, is on.
This one, yeah. Sorry. I would like to note that 2 of the arenas that say no, that they don't have safety netting, also have the 6-foot glass, so that helps in keeping the pucks in play. 2 of the 4 have 6-foot glass. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Anything from Commissioner Smythe? Nothing? Okay, so we have the motion on the floor. All in favor of receipt? Any opposed? Seeing none. Does someone want to make the subsequent motion? We have three options.
I'll make a motion
Yes, Commissioner?
that option C, that the commission recommend that no changes to the current netting system be made at this time. And my thoughts on that are,
Yes, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Carrick. Go ahead.
at this time, I don't believe it's necessary. There is some reports that arenas that have netting actually have their mobile or movable cameras on the inside of the netting, so on the ice surface side of the netting. Maybe that's something the storm could look into. And the other thing is, as time goes on, maybe somebody will come up with a decent system of raising and lowering the netting, and then we could buy into it. But by just putting the netting on a pipe and having some little shivs and a rope and stuff, I think is the recipe for disaster. And I just don't think it's possible at this time. Thank you.
Any further Commissioner comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the motion to proceed with option C? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you. And now we are on the Recreate Aquatic and Wellness Project construction update, and I'll take a motion that the report from the CEAO be received. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Rice. I take it we have a staff.
Yeah, will present this, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm very pleased to provide an update on the construction of the Aquatic and Wellness Center, focusing on progress of work, upcoming work, risk management, budget, and communications. So before I start diving into some of my slides and photographs, I just want to speak a little bit about construction sequence. This will give you a better understanding of where we're building and where we're going with the project. What you're seeing in front of you is a floor plan of the Aquatic Center. The area that it has been highlighted in turquoise or blue, that's the area that contains the change rooms, the steam room, and also the sauna. That is the area where the fitness and the chemical room used to be. That's the area that we're building right now. And then you can see the areas in green, yellow, and pink. Those are the lower areas of the facility that are being excavated. So that will give you an understanding of where we're going. So starting from the east side, from the blue, moving to the green, yellow around the perimeter of the building to finalize with all the footings and all the slabs on all four posts of the facility. So it's really good to have a look at this before I start just projecting some of the photos. So in terms of progress of work or activities that we have achieved today, we're making really good progress. I'm really excited to share with you that the chemical room, the slide, the front yard, and the fitness has been successfully demolished. This will definitely clear the path to continue with the detailed excavation in the change rooms, and also helping us to continue with forming, reinforcing, and pouring concrete for those footings. So this is the photo that on the left side is the before construction. You can see the slide front yard and the fitness and chemical room to the left, and to the right after being demolished. Now we're going to see activities happening right now, starting from the east side. You can see the forming, and on the right side, pretty much a week ago, we poured the first set of footings on the change rooms. That's great to see. Now things are going to start moving way faster just because we got rid of those buildings. We have a detailed excavation in the lower poles. You can see the big excavator on the left side. That's just the last grid line that we're excavating to. That is the subgrade on the right side that has been approved by the geotechnical consultant. So I think one of the things that I would love to mention is that we're monitoring all the risks for the project. Soil conditions is one of them. I'm very pleased to share that we don't have any contaminated soils. We have been monitoring the existing condition. It's a top priority for us to make sure that the existing building is operational while we build the new aquatic center. After speaking to the geotechnical consultant and the surveyor, all the monitoring points are not showing any signs of settlement, so this is great news. And the last piece of information about risk management is hazardous materials. So the building that has been demolished didn't have, we do a survey before construction, so we didn't have to deal with any of these removals and applications to Works ABC, so that's great news. So on the civil infrastructure side of things, we have made great progress. The new water main line has been connected to the city infrastructure as well, to the existing facility. That line is up and running right now, as well installations for the sanitary and sewer are in progress right now. In terms of the budget, so just to refresh you a little bit with what has been done in the past, so the total project budget approved for the new aquatic and wellness center is $69.8 million. We have a contract with Heather Bray, the builder, for $60.7 million. Total amount completed today is 1.98. We have contracts with the prime consultant and the sub consultant teams, the engineering team, to provide contract administration during construction for $1.38 million. Today, we have received invoices for professional services for $122,000. We have other costs related to the project, which insurance and owner's consultants. We have geotechnical, hazardous materials, surveyors, testing agencies, et cetera. All those invoices today are totaled $608,000. Total construction process at today is 2.7 out of 69.8. We anticipate expenditures of $2.5 million to the end of 2024, and I'm expecting a forecast to come to us. So in my next update, I will provide you more information about what's coming on progress claims. So the project is within the approved budget, and that's great news as well. In terms of communications, we're taking this very seriously. This is as important as the construction itself. We'll continue communicating with the elected officials, with the users, with the staff in the community. We continue checking emails and responding to their concerns. We communicate on closures that we have, and we will continue doing that. We're also providing monthly updates of what's happening on site. And with this, I welcome your questions.
Well, thank you very much. I see there's also a secondary supplementary report. Do you want to wrap that up right now, or shall we do this part and ask questions and ask on the supplementary? Okay, let's just open up to questions. Any commissioner questions on the update on the progress? Okay, hearing none, let's vote on the receipt. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's accepted. And could I get the motion on the second item, the supplementary report, please? That the supplementary report from the CAO be received. Thank you, Commissioner Grunland. Thank you, Commissioner Rice. Is there anything further staff want to add? It looks like it's just updating us on the financials. Does the CAO want to say anything?
I believe Mike's going to present this. Okay. Or what do we have up here? Like, I'm not sure if you went and... I don't.
Invoicing. There's an invoicing report.
Right. Okay. Is that we're queuing up here? Is that the report? Like yes. Okay. So there's nothing to add by staff. Madam Chair, this was a request of the board as they amended the purchasing policy that any invoices, I believe over $250,000 could be approved by myself because of the rec rate project. And we promised to bring copies of those reports to the commission and for the board for their review. So what we're just going to do is summarize the invoices that are over those amounts annually and bring them forward to the commission for their review, and then forward them on to the board for information purposes only because they've been paid.
Any questions from commissioners on that? No. Okay. All in favor of receipt? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, so we have the 2024 preliminary surplus report. I make a motion that the report from the CEO be received.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Grenland, Commissioner Rice.
And Mike will present something here for us.
Thank you. This report was originally intended for the last meeting, which got bumped. And for the surplus report, we tend to present the surplus to the board, to the Electoral Area Commission, and to the gardens all at the same time. It's a very similar report, so we've always kind of cut down on the content for the gardens one, so it's not too redundant. And this report will actually lead into the next report where we're talking about the budget anyway. So a lot of this may be moot at this point, but we tend to look at surplus every year just because it's a temperature gauge for the upcoming requisition. Overall, it really depends on why the surplus has occurred, whether or not it tends to push the requisition up or down. If we have a project, for example, that comes under budget, it tends to be a permanent savings, and that kind of suppresses the requisition. But if your day-to-day spending happens to increase against what you spent in the prior year or increase against the budget, it tends to push the requisition up for the following year. Most of the surplus, especially for the gardens, is just a timing difference between when we collect the funds and when we spend them on behalf of the taxpayer. But like I say, annually, we tend to look at them just to get a temperature gauge. So for this year, this is a chart that's out of the report, and it's really quite a standard year for the gardens. The green line represents the 5-year average surplus. The light blue line is the prior year, and the dark blue line is the current year. So this is right in line with the average. Last year just happened to be slightly elevated because we were entering into the union negotiations and whatnot. So usually we keep a little bit of a excess budget just in case those go on, but financially they were settled with not too much impact, so it was in line. Other than that, like I say, it was quite a standard year. Revenues are about 3.5% over what we originally budgeted from. We got a labor grant for about $21,000 that offset some labor. We have a carry forward of the project website, and then like I see, most of what you see there is just the impact from reducing any of the legal and professional fee contingencies as regard to the union negotiations. And then, like I say, on my next presentation, you're going to see how this factors into your budget for the upcoming year. So I'll probably answer some questions then.
So if I can, Madam Chair, if you just go back to that slide quickly, and from my perspective is when you look at the surplus, if you don't have a surplus significant or material change in there, your spending expenditures are basically in line with your budget. So why we do that is to give a line of sight moving forward on impacts that you may wish to consider for the upcoming budget, knowing the health of the existing budget. So what we're saying here is basically we're right on track for what the budget was. It's not above or below what expectations is. So if you're going to consider additional items within the budget requisition projects, whatever that may be, the line of sight on current requisition budget for the gardens is right on track.
Thank you very much. Is there any further questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, all in favor of receipt? Any opposed? That's carried. So do we want to move the motion before we get the staff report, don't we, on this one? Mr. Yates? Or shall we just do the report?
Madam Chair, the next item, number 4, is that what we're referring to?
Yes, it's a big one.
The motion is to receive the report, which I think is appropriate to do before discussion.
Okay, great. So a motion that we receive the report of the CAO with respect to the 2025-2029 financial plan. Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. Thank you, Commissioner Gronlund. I guess we're going to get a presentation.
Yeah, so the surplus report dovetails nicely into this one for the budget. So again, in your agendas, we have the entire budget listed, just in case anyone has any questions, but we'll be focusing on just on the garden segment. Everything we have here is a 2025 preliminary budget, and we're just looking to get any feedback as we move into January when we'll produce an actual budget. So the goal of this meeting is, like I say, just to get any of your changes or anything in line so we can produce a more budget in 2025 that maybe more accurately reflects what you're expecting to see. So the applicable draft we have has about $173,000 requisition increase. So this is just a little breakdown of the major components of what we're looking at. So we're anticipating a sales increase that equates to about 3.5%. We have a slight change to the transfers. The contingencies were well within the budget, so we're not anticipating too high of an expense base increase. So we just had some minor items for some contracts and inflationary adjustments. Other than that, the surplus impact, as you can see from the last presentation, surplus was down. So this year it put some slightly upward pressure, but overall it's relative to what we've seen in the norms. And then the bigger adjustment is, as you can imagine, is just the labor adjustment from 2024 over to 2025. So we've recently completed the negotiations, so we have a pretty good line of sight on labor for the next 3 years. So this is another clip right out of your budget binder, and so far with the base increase and everything else of those last costs, we anticipate about $8.37 per home across Campbell River and Area D. Again, that number is based on the 2024 assessment data. It doesn't consider any assessment shift or non-market change. So as you add properties, of course, the price per home tends to go down, but this is a good comparison if you just look at 2024 versus 2025 and the impact of that $173,000 increase.
So if I can jump in here, for folks that are from the city that are going to be accustomed to a different way of delivering a budget, regional districts. So in the city, you're going to anticipate a surplus, and you can work on what you want to set your financial tax increase at. And you can hold that because you can fluctuate your surplus at the end of the year. Regional districts, because we're each individual services that are financially independent of that, and they don't have surpluses large enough that you could balance a function on adjustment of them. So we spend all our time in the fiscal year working on projecting what moving forward would be. We plan, we make changes, we anticipate increases, decreases, whatever that may be. And then we come to you and say, okay, holding level water of what we're doing, the service we're providing right now with contract commitments, union agreements, CPI changes, so on and so forth, in what we call a base budget, you're looking at an increase of $8.50 a home to your average home. So that is an estimate based on the surpluses we're projecting. We haven't got all our invoices in. And so when year end comes and we get the adjusted housing numbers, we get the assessments in, and all our invoicing in, we put that into the finance grinder, and then we refine that number, and it generally historically comes down a little bit. So we're saying, hey, worst case scenario, if we change nothing, when you're looking in the next year, if you're looking at making some additions and changing, so without any changes, you're about $8 per home a year to provide the existing service of what we're doing now. But there can be many factors and will be factors in changing that. But that, again, is the best we can do is give you line of sight. We're typically pretty good. We're generally a little high on the anticipated number, and the first number you're going to see at the end of January will likely be a little less than that. And this is like a precursor again into if there's any changes you want to make to the budget, you have an idea of what the existing status quo is going to be.
There you go. Is that the conclusion of the presentation then?
That's the conclusion of the base budget. We're going to feed right into now for a business case. So the 850 that Dave was talking about is the just the current year-over-year price increase, and then we have some business cases to contemplate on top of that.
And that's later on. Okay, so any questions about the base budget? Yes, Commissioner Kerr.
So the current requisition for the swimming pool that we're moving ahead on, that's built into this. So anything plus any extras or, okay.
So you're exactly right. So what we have two things ahead of here. So what you see would add on to the $8.
Yeah, just to be clear, so we've got the business case coming, and there's some decent numbers if we go ahead with the ice side, and that's the bigger lift, correct?
There's a programming one and there's one for the arena, yes.
Any further questions from the commissioners on the base budget? So just for my clarity, I saw the comment, it was a 2% basic increase in costs. Is that the
I think
the bottom line was?
2%, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to make a comment Mike did earlier on CPI too, in discussions with other committee groups there. CPI is a factor in only a portion of what we do. So when people see that, oh, cost of living numbers are, coming down and they're at 2.5, I can't remember what you said a portion of our budget is, but only a small fraction of our overall budget is impacted by CPI. A lot of the other figures are much higher, the cost of goods and services that we get. So I know people have that number in mind, but as we know, cost of living is based on a certain number of ingredients that are inserted, and a lot of what we do is outside that basket. So given that, the majority of us outside that CPI basket, we are at a base of under CPI at 2.
Okay, any further questions arising? Okay, all in favor of receipt of the base budget? Any opposed? That's carried. And now we're going into the business cases. So a motion that the report from the CAO be received. Thank you, Commissioner Grenland. Thank you, Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you through the CAO to the chair and the commissioners. Just for the first business case, just a little bit of background. Just over the last few years, we've experienced a decline in rehabilitation staffing and other key leadership positions. We currently have 2 positions on the rehab team that are contracted out. They are friends of the current rehabilitation team, and so that model's not sustainable, but they are filling the gap until we can get these positions filled. And we feel like a market adjustment will help fill these positions. The positions are important to the success of Strathcona Gardens from a programming perspective, from meeting community needs, from the increase in size to the community in Campbell River and Area D. The budget requested to fund the market adjustments would come from an increase to the Strathcona Gardens fees and charges. In a draft proposal will be submitted to the Commission in January 2025 for review. Just in closing, there is a lot of opportunity to grow the rehab and fitness team at Strathcona Gardens when the aquatic center and fitness renovation is complete, and this will increase revenue and offerings to the community. So, I think we're looking ahead here. We want to fill some gaps, but there's opportunity to grow once we've got the new facility up and running as well. And I think it's, we had some discussion during negotiations as well about identifying some positions that were sort of under market value. And we're seeing that in the recruiting phase that we are not getting applicants that are qualified. And so we do feel that this adjustment will bring the right people with the right qualifications to these positions.
So if I can just add that, Madam Chair, we have a contract with Island Health to do rehabilitation work with members of the community. And in order to do that, we need certain qualified staff to do it. We're having a lot of challenges retaining and recruiting that group. Our current rates are what we would consider under market rates to recruit and retain these folks. And so what we're proposing to you is that we make adjustments to the wages and benefits to those positions, and to offset that, we're going to bring back a report early in the new year with proposed adjustments to the rates and fees bylaw that will make these positions cost neutral beyond the first year.
Okay, I think it's best to ask for comments on business case by business case at this point. So if anyone have any comments on this particular proposal? Yes, Commissioner Kerr.
That was going to be my only question. The way you described it, it sounded like it was going to be cost neutral. And if you're assured if we're being assured that it is, I can't imagine having any problems with it, so.
Yeah, we're confident it is because we'll have to bring that fees and charges bylaw forward to you. It's kind of a little bit of the cart before the horse. So we're saying, hey, look, if the commission approves, we'll make the budget amendment, and then we will follow that up with an adjustment to the rates and fees charges to accommodate this increase, ultimately making it cost neutral in 2025 and beyond.
Well, thank you very much. Any further questions? Okay, we'll move on to the second business case.
Motion, I believe.
We have to have a motion. I think.
There's a motion at the end of the business case.
Oh,
Recommendation.
a recommendations. But do we not have the motion for receipt on the floor right now? So we have to,
Yeah, it should be received first. The question on that should be called, and then the
okay.
secondary motion.
So I'll call the question on receipt. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. And then there's a recommendation at the end of the business case summary that the 2025-2029 financial plan include an additional $86,250 to be funded from Function 640 Strathcona Gardens. Thank you, Commissioner Grenland.
Second.
Commissioner Rice, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. We'll move to the next business case. Thank you.
Okay, and I believe Wolf has a bit of a slideshow here.
Through the CAO and the chair to the commissioners, thank you again. This is a presentation that I just put together just to speak about the design of the arena. So I'm very pleased to let you know that we have reached a big milestone. Back in July 2023, the board approved the design to move into detail, and that has been completed by the design team. So we definitely, one of the things that we have considered is the feedback that we received from previous consultation with the community, users of the ice surfaces, staff as well. We consulted with Strathcona Garden managers, and we engaged with BC Hockey League. So all those input that we received from them has been considered in this design, and I will, in the next slides, will show you a few renderings and speak more about the programming. The design aims to create a cohesive, inclusive space that fosters community connections, promotes wellness, and supports both recreational and competitive sports. The upgraded facility will serve as a hub for fitness and community interaction, emphasizing accessibility, sustainability, and inclusivity. And you're going to see that when we present some of the renderings. Next, please. So, I'm just going to summarize the programming. There is a lot that is being projected right now, but just to summarize and give you an idea of what has been included in some of the areas. So close to 2,000, over 500 bucket seats and 400 standing room for approximately 2,000 people to meet the Junior A hockey standards. So that's great.
1,500.
1,560 bucket seats and 400 standing. Sorry, thank you. New spaces for BC Hockey League operations. We have offices, therapy rooms, team rooms, lunch room, multifunctional lobby with rentable spaces, We have an expanded concessions in the lower area, concession in the upper section. We have a beer garden as well in the upper area. We have large multipurpose rooms, both in the lower area and the upper area for community activities. We have improved accessibility and expanding team rooms. We have reconfigured the parking, additional lighting, and potential alternate access road through Pinecrest. Next, please. This slide shows the connection between what's being built right now, the Aquatic and Wellness Center, and what was being proposed, which is the arena. The area that you see highlighted in orange or yellow as basically the corridor that connects the entire building. They're thinking as a whole and not just one as an independent building. And one of the features that I would like to highlight is the convenience of accessibility, as it allows easy movement between the arenas, making the facility more user-friendly and accessible for all, including those with mobility challenges. We have enhanced user experience. This can be easily switched between activities like the swimming, wellness, ice sports, encouraging multi-activity participation. Another advantage of having that corridor that connects the two buildings is efficient space use. The corridor optimizes the layout of the facility, ensuring better traffic flow and maximizing the use of space. We have flexibility and community engagement, which provides flexibility for various user groups, supporting a range of recreational activities within one visit. And as well, it serves as a safety and operational efficiency. Next, please. So this, the image to the right is level 1 floor plan. You can see the viewing area highlighted in yellow, the social hearth that connects to the aquatic center. You can see to the top left a multi-purpose room. You can see tenant improvement space or retail space. That's the as well. It's got the offices. At the south part, you can see to the right. I'm sorry. You can see the home team and all the change rooms. The image to the left shows the level 2, the feature, very important feature, which is the walking running track located at the top. You can see the beer garden, another multi-purpose space, offices, and the media booth that has been discussed with the BC Hockey League. Next, please. This is a rendering of the viewing area at the lower level. Next, please. This is an elevation that shows the beer garden at the bottom. If you look at the elevation at the bottom, shows that space for people to congregate, get together, socialize, and a little bit about some of the signage that has been introduced. Next, please. Just wanted to speak about wayfinding and signage in a recreational facility. Really important for several reasons: for navigation, for safety, accessibility, efficiency, as well as branding. Next, please. More renderings about the ticket desk. Next. We can see the upgraded facility, all the bucket seats, and it's not finalized yet in terms of those letters that you see, but that's pretty much how things are going to look. Next. And then we have the upper second level with the running track. Next, please. I'm going to speak about financial implications, the budget summary. So with the design completed, we were able to use the construction manager that we have for the aquatic and wellness to provide us an estimate cost. We also reached out to a quantity surveyor in the Lower Mainland who has costed these kind of projects. We received those estimates. We consolidated those estimates, and we came up with a total project of $58 million. We have, I'm going to break down those two numbers. We have $4 million available from reserves. We would need $54 million in borrowing in order to proceed with building this project. And we are providing you with a couple of options. So option A, that the financial plan include a budget allocation to service 50% of anticipated debt financing for the arena with $80 a home per year to be funded through Function 640. And option B, that the 2025-2029 financial plan include a budget allocation to service 100% of anticipated debt financing for the arena with $161 per home per year to be funded through Function 640 Strathcona Gardens. I'm happy to take any questions you may have or provide more information about the design.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. Any questions coming out of the commissioners? Commissioner Kerr?
Thank you, Chair. And yeah, it looks good. I know especially things like running tracks, indoor running tracks is something that, you know, there's been a need for in this community for the last 40 years or more. It'd be nice to see. Is there what kind of surface is that going to have? Is it just concrete surface or has it got a running track surface?
Go ahead, Roy.
It's got a rubberized coating on it for grip and a bit of cushion. It's not a concrete surface.
Okay, so there is some cushioning to it.
There
It's not
is.
just for slippage and that sort of thing.
Correct.
Well, my question on it is, you know, is this a bare bones kind of project, or is it medium, or is it deluxe? Like, where is it? You know, from what you heard from the community, a lot of consultation for this. Presumably, you got some feedback as to what the community would like to see and balance that with budget. But yeah, like, where does it sit in terms of?
Yeah, it sounds like you got a couple of questions. The first one is definitely a major upgrade. It's a significant project. Basically, the entire existing building will be demolished. We're only keeping the ice, the floor, everywhere else around, it just has to go. And in terms of community input, with everything that we received when we presented this project to the community, when we engaged with them early in 2018 and later before we completed the design for the aquatic center, everything that we heard from there has been incorporated. We definitely have to do more presentations to update the community and the users. We follow the process, but we have to provide these updates to you first, and then we will follow with the next steps.
So if I can, to address the bare bones part, so there's two things in it that I wouldn't consider it bare bones because we're meeting the junior A hockey requirement. That has a seating minimum to it, which adds a significant size and footprint. So I would consider that beyond bare bones. If we just wanted a hockey rink, we'd get rid of all the seats. And the other is the walking track. Walking track was something that the community really, really wanted. So when we're looking at the cost evaluation and what we could do to look at bringing the project in, at the least amount we could, the running track was not something we could get rid of for the community. We could get rid of it, but there was a ton of requests for the walking tracks. Yeah.
So the consultation you did was basically the 2018 consultation at the very beginning of the project.
Yeah, because the concepts of it, the design has gone deeper, but the concepts have stayed the same from all the user groups, minor hockey, skating club, all the community groups that we connected with. We kept those ideas with us, and because we were, trying to find ways to get federal funding options, we didn't advance the design, but the concepts have stayed consistent throughout the term. And when the commission gave us direction, went forward with the design to those, and so we've executed all the concepts that we received from all the groups.
My only thought is the world has really changed since 2018, and also the community. So, there may be different inputs, but look good.
Any further comments? Yes, Commissioner Rice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The one question that I had is that I'm looking at the current requisition for Area D. So we're already paying $63.22 per 100K. How much more is this going to cost?
So what we presented to you in the options here, Area D in the city, the cost per home is dangerously close. So without getting within $1 or something, the two options are to do the $54 million to borrow that. You'd need $160 a home to finance the debt borrowing. So we've given you two options. I suppose the third would be do nothing, but the two options are to do half of it this year's requisition and presumably the other half of next year's requisition, or the whole thing. So it's what you have presented before you is $80 a home or $160 a home, or I imagine zero.
I get that, but I was wondering, what is the cost per 100K? Is that's how people look at our
Yeah, we can,
budgets.
sure, we can transition this, but what we find, folks, is, once they have their established tax requisition, what more is it going to cost? So we have a history of presenting the additional. Certainly, if it's supported at this page, what we do is insert it in the budget, and we'll give you those costs when, at the end of January,
Well,
the per 100K, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm feeling very pinched in this budget, and there's a lot of contributing factors. I mean, we have increased services costs and all of those things going forward. So again, already, say on a $700,000 home in Area D, that's already $442 just there. So how much more are we going to add to that? When the pool was approved, I mean, there was pushback in the community because, again, people saw it as being quite a big hit on their taxes. So that's what I'm trying to get a handle of.
Okay, well, certainly, if this is advanced, you'll get the per 100,000 number. But again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. We've always gone with what it'll cost per the average home additional, and that's $80. So if you said, if the average home was $800,000, because the math is simple, it would be $10 per 100,000. If I just look at the 80. And if it was 160, it'd be 20 on an $800,000 home. That's super rough, but just by my quick math there.
Sorry, I have the exact number. It's $22.12 average between the two per 100,000. Sorry, and just clarity, that's the full ticket. If you do half this year, half next year, you cut 22 and a half.
I said 20. I was pretty close.
Well, I don't think you have a right to ask a question, Councillor Lania, but if you want to pass it over to Councillor Kerr, I'm sure you can ask, or Commissioner Kerr. Anybody else? Commissioner Smythe, do you have a question? Nope, he's saying no. Commissioner Gradley, go ahead. And I was looking forward to hearing from you because I think you have a lot of experience on arenas and may be able to assist Commissioner Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. I have three questions. The first being the slide you showed looking at the tentative seating plan, Wolfang, is that from the viewing area, beer garden type area that was looking at the seating configuration, looking towards a Zamboni room? My second question is there any funding coming down the pipe from anybody? Any word on any future funding coming through? And would there be any cost savings to moving forward with the existing contractor who's already on site? He's already geared up. He's already got his trailers there. He's already got a work crew to continue that work crew for another 2 or 3 years, guaranteeing them work. Would there be any cost savings?
Quickly to answer that one, we sure hope so. And that's what we're anticipating. Obviously, we want to give a higher level budget, but they were clearly the lowest bidder in our aquatics. We've had a really good relationship with them so far. And we would hope to, if the commission supports us, we would hope to engage them on something to continue this for absolutely. I would be surprised if there wasn't the interest from them and the ability to provide some cost savings for sure. Because, it's a lot about known factors, right? And bids of what they don't know. Having so much familiarity with the site is, I think, going to give them a little bit of confidence about what they may not know. Ground conditions was a great one, right? We had a very pleasant experience with that. So again, that's a long-winded way of saying I do believe there will be that opportunity and some cost savings there.
the rendering that has been projected. So the viewing area is located on the northwest side of the arena, and that is correct. The image that you see there is being taken from that viewing area. And just to add up to what Dave said, that we hired Heather Bray as the construction manager for the design of the arena space, so it makes sense that they continue, but those are things that can be negotiated at a later time after we tender.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Kerr and Commissioner Grunley, if you turn off your mic, thank you.
So you said that you're at the 95% design. So how, I mean, just ballparking, how, if there was approval in this budget to move ahead, how soon could that project begin?
I would say our timelines is because we'd have to borrow, we'd go to an AAP. And so I would say then, let's say that consumes 4 or 5 months in getting that approval, and then doing tender documents and all the contract administration. I would say late 2025, early 2026 construction could start. Yeah. And the reason I'm a little hesitant, maybe / optimistic on that, because if it was the current contractor that's doing the aquatics, they're already there. There's no down days, right?
Yeah.
Like they can
Stars
go
align.
pool arena
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's good. And I would actually like to hear from Ben. He's not a commissioner, but, and he's not a director.
I think I know, if you don't mind, I think I know Ben's question, and it's a good one, considering the Bank Canada lowered interest rates again today. Mike probably monitors those by the second. But what you see here is based on what the rates were yesterday, the Bank Canada rate, and we all realize the trend is the rates coming down. 54 million is a lot of money, so a change, whether it's a quarter or a half point in the rates, is significant to us. So this is a number that we also feel pretty confident with because we anticipate the rates go down. Did the long-term rates go down today?
Yeah, so we priced this out. Originally, we started, we were at 4.15. So as of today, this morning, it was a big drop down to 3.83. But what the rate is by the time we actually get it, if I could predict that, I wouldn't be here. So,
but I think we all assume or can expect that the rate trend is down, not up. So. Again, when you're dealing with this kind of money, what we do as well, too, when we borrow money and we see a trend like this going down, we short-term borrow. And then once we get, confidence that we've hit rock bottom with rates, then we'll lock in.
Any further questions, Commissioner Kerr? I had a couple questions myself. Okay, thank you. Looking at the overall schematic, so we're taking down the old facility that was there when I was a kid, and we're saving the ice, we're rebuilding around it. The newer ice is staying and being functional during the construction phase, just like we've done with the pool. Is that correct?
Yeah, the one sheet ice would stay.
Correct.
But I did see a lot of changing in the change room locations. And I know over time there's been issues with the general public having access from time to time into the change room areas, but there'll be access to change rooms during the construction phase, because I saw a lot of them were in the back end of the area facing the parking lot, right?
I'm going to say during construction, there will be a lot of accommodation necessary. I know there'll be some anxiousness if the commission supports it and we move forward. Yeah, I don't know what those will be today, but there is going to have to be some accommodation during that period. But part of the new design is complete new change rooms in there. When you're designing for junior hockey, I would say that's kind of the gold standard.
And so I think picking up what Commissioner Kerr has said in terms of the time frame since we've done the consultation in terms of what we're delivering to the public for the money they're spending, is there enough flexibility in the design to get an update or maybe some staff input if they visit other facilities, or the hockey teams now say, hey, we need something different than we had 5 or 6 years ago?
Yes, in a word, we'll definitely consult the user groups for sure. I don't think there'll be huge dramatic change to it. I mean, again, when you build it for junior hockey, that's kind of a gold standard, and they require a lot of things in there. But certainly, again, given the blessing of the commission, we'll revisit with the user groups and see if there's any minor tweaks to it that they like. But we're pretty confident with what we have in our consultation with the groups, and again, having the junior A standard to it. Nobody's going to have anything a higher standard than that. So having the seating capacity, the walking track, we're making a lot of accommodation for. I'm going to call it sporting goods stores, like for hockey and swimming, having enhanced viewing warm areas, concessions. We're happy to do that. I don't think there'll be much change to that. I think they'll be pretty happy.
Go ahead.
So additional to the consultation that we do here, just as part of the process, we also have to do consultation during the permitting process with the city of Campbell River, so there will be more with them, the community. So, yeah.
Is there anything further arising from the questions that I raised? I take the impression I'm getting right now is that we've got a solid sort of estimate, but there are some factors that may reduce some of the assessments if interest rates go our way. And it seems that our construction process on the pool has been mostly favorable, but you never know.
Yeah, well, I think Wolf's pretty happy with, what kept him up at night with the pool is you excavate and you don't know what you're going to find, and then you detach part of the building and you don't know what you're going to find. Getting past those two hurdles, I think, has really been relieved some anxiety for us. So it is always in our best interest to do as much work and as give you an accurate number as we can so that things can only get better. Certainly interest rates, that's a simple one, right? You're borrowing that much money, the lower the number, the less you're going to pay. So, and again, having the ability to work with the existing contractor, I think there's a reason to be optimistic. So I think you got a high watermark number here.
Okay, anything further? Okay, so are we doing a receipt first on this one? No, we just are entertaining whether we want to do option A, option B, or I guess there's a potential other option of nothing. So yes, Commissioner Grenland.
I would move option B, if this is the said time, that the 2025-2029 financial plan include a budget allocation to service 100% of the anticipated debt financing for the arena. In brackets, $161 a home year to be funded through Function 640 Strathcona Gardens.
Do I have a seconder? Was that Councillor?
For discussion.
Yeah, okay. Let's have a discussion then. Is there any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Kerr?
So I kind of lean towards the thought of this year doing the 50% and then next year doing another 50%, which would be option A. And that's my understanding. It's not just doing the 50%, but it's phasing it in over 2 years. And that's basically the way. I won't be voting for option B. I think option A is, in this financial climate, probably a better way to do it.
Okay, anybody else have any comments on this?
I won't be supporting option B either.
Anybody else? Is nobody else? Okay. Well, so we've got a motion that option B is on the floor. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of option B? And who's opposed to option B? No, he doesn't vote. So we have 3 and 2, and I've cast those. So option B has been approved. Okay. So
just in process-wise, again, you just heard Mike say the rates have gone down. What we do, again, we got assessments, we got house counts, we got so on and forth. That will just get put into the budget so you can see in late January what that actual number would look like. And there's further discussion at that point, if you like.
Okay, so back onto the regular agenda, and mindful of the time, we've got another meeting starting. We have one addendum item. Do we want to defer this or potentially address the receipt of that item?
I think that one came at the chair's request, so what would you?
Well, okay, so we just have a motion to receive the request for lighting, and potentially we could get a staff report as a secondary report afterwards. So I guess that the addendum might even be considered, and do we just make the motion that the November 25th, 2024 correspondence from Sarah Ellis, Compliance and Enforcement Officer, Environmental Assessment Office regarding parking lot lighting at Strathcona Gardens be received? Who's got that motion? Yes, thank you, Commissioner Kerr. Second. Thank you, Commissioner Grunland. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. It's carried. Is there going to be a motion coming up for a staff report on this? Commissioner Kerr.
Okay, I'll move that we get a request a staff report on this item.
Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the scope of the staff report? It just seems to be that there's an assessment of whether the new constraints around the arena with parking needs any additional safety considerations. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. And a motion for termination. Thank you, Commissioner Grunland. Second. Thank you, Commissioner Kerr. All in favor? Any opposed? It's terminated. Thank you very much for your patience today. Thank you.
Alternate Director Smythe will have to get you to log back in.